G'day all, it's Edo from the Bulldogs Elite Pathways Facebook page, and this is this week's edition of the newly named The Bark Recap. Thought we'd go in a different direction with the name. The weekly wrap sounded a bit boring to me, so it's now called The Bark Recap, and it's round 24. So we're going to talk a little bit about the NRL and then the Cup and the Flegg, and there'll be some pics coming up of some of the game preparation and players, and also the highlights of the lower grades games and points tables and fixtures of games coming up, and team lists. Anyway, so on to the NRL. I lost 42-6. Yeah, I'm not happy. Like a lot of people, I think. That was, to me, that was one of the worst performances of the year, and I know we've had some big losses, and even bigger losses than that. But to me, this performance, they just didn't look interested at all from the start. Totally uninterested. I don't know what it is, but looks to be like there's some problems within the camp or something. There might be a few different reasons for this, but they look completely flat when attacking the line. One try, and it was out of dummy half. The players just look to be going through the motions at this point in the season, which tells me either, and I hope I'm wrong, that the coach is losing the group, or many players are uncertain about their futures because there's been so much talk about players being either moved on or what. Or the season has just been too much of a toll, mentally and physically. And that affects their preparation. I mean, the coach could say that, they're preparing well in the week prior to the game, but when it's accumulated over the whole season, and some of the preparation and some of the, the types of training that they're going throughout the season and in pre-season, maybe the players are just not used to this type of preparation and this type of training phases that they're now doing as opposed to seasons in the past. I'm not sure. I really don't know, but they just don't look. It's not a match fitness problem. It shouldn't be by this stage of the season. It's not match fitness. It could be fatigue, but to me, a lot of it just seems like a lack of effort, and that's worrying times. In my opinion, Luke Thompson shouldn't have been selected at lock to start the game. I don't mind his decision being included in the team, although I probably would have thought he played a couple more games in New South Wales Cup. I think he was a bit rushed. I didn't think he did too bad with the ball, but defensively he was just too slow, could not move laterally, and it affected players around him as well. I think there were better options for lock. Could have gone Curtis Moran, could have put Harrison Edwards to start. I think the management of the players throughout the season has been very dubious. Limited playing time for bench players, and players expected to be more involved than actually start the game. They don't end up playing or contributing enough minutes in the overall game. At the end of the game, they've only played maybe 25, 30 minutes, and you expect them to play more than half. It just seems very odd. And that puts more physical toll on the others that actually do. And they're probably the younger players who really shouldn't be expected to play that many minutes this early in their careers. It's going to burn them out. Throwing kids such as Olowapu in when he probably wasn't ready at the time, needed more time in New South Wales Cup. Is it politics? The fact that he came into the side so soon? Maybe. I'm not sure, but playing Khaled Rajab in a team that was largely inexperienced, it does damage to their confidence, and that can really hurt a young player, and that also leads to poor. It could be an indication of poor recruitment and retention in the past, which is why we've had to do this. So if it's not one problem, it's another. And the poor recruitment and retention, in my opinion, has been an absolute schmozzle for a while now. Players brought in that just don't add to what we currently have, or they're not utilised in the NRL when they're expected to with the experience that they've got, or they've moved on before their contracts are even over. It's happened quite a few times now. The club seems to be trying to rediscover its culture, and these decisions aren't helping. It can really affect the culture within the club. Players constantly being moved on, or thinking that they're going to be moved on. It's not a good environment. Anyway, a really disappointing performance on so many levels. On to the New South Wales Cup. The New South Wales Cup game was played prior to the NRL game in Newcastle, and they lost to the Knights 42-28. Our fourth loss in a row, which drops us to fourth in a top five final system. I didn't see the Cup or the Flegg this weekend, so it's pretty hard to comment. But the Cup side, I think they're suffering from too much chopping and changing of the side, and they really need to settle on a lineup, regardless of who should be there on reputation, and just pick a team that's on form, and that has not only on form but has an eye for the future as well. This is also a bit of a result, in my opinion, of poor retention and recruitment, where we're forced to play players that haven't really added anything, or they've gone backwards, to what their previously playing standards were. They've come to the club and they're not putting in to the level that we're requiring or we're expecting, and that's maybe a coaching problem as well. I'm not sure, but they play 5th place Raiders this week, which is a hugely important game, 4th versus 5th, with only 2 games left. And that game is streamed to New South Wales Rugby League TV on Sunday, so that'd be good to have a look at. Gerald Skelton and Curtis Moran, I thought, were the best out of the stats. Obviously, I said I didn't watch the game, so just looking at the stats, they both ran for over 100 plus metres, with tackle breaks, especially with Skelton. I think he got 4, and pretty solid tackle efficiency from Moran. He had 26, 27 tackles and only missed the 1, and both got a meat pie as well. So at least those 2 guys, and there's probably a couple of other guys as well who are travelling quite well in that team. It's just the combinations are not happening because of the chopping and the changing. But it's good to see that those 2 guys who have played a bit of NRL maybe taking a bit of confidence back into New South Wales Cup, and they need to continue that. On to Jersey Flegg. They beat the Knights 30-16. They actually started from behind in the game, but by the break, things were well in control at 18-6. And my spies tell me that Zach Montgomery and Lipoi Hopoi, who I both thought were really good the week before against South at Redfern, were good again. And Benny Moyle again as well, is taking the dummy half role by the throat, which is really good to see. He'll have another year of Jersey Flegg next year, but we may see him a little bit in Cup. Unfortunately, 5'8" Sione Moala did his hammy, and he's out for the next 2 to 4 weeks, so he might be pushing to get back in time for finals if we get that far. It might be a bit of a stretch, no pun intended. AJ Jones will miss the rest of the season, unfortunately, with a shoulder operation. He did that last week against South, but he'll be back for the pre-season, which is good. And yeah, the top 2 looks 95% assured now. There's a little bit of a gap with 2 games left. I think they're 4 points ahead of third with a pretty good for and against. So one more win would definitely lock that up. And the boys play Canberra down in Canberra on Saturday. So the video will finish off with the Jersey Flegg highlights and then the results from the Clydesdales teams from last weekend and their teams for this weekend's last round game for them. They go up to Mackay and play the Mackay Cutters. So good luck, boys. And I'll see you next week. See you guys.